Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 11, verse number 6. The couple of verses do not have a purport, so I'm just going to read the Sanskrit for the first verse, and we could do the repetition, and then I could just read the English for the next. That's okay with the assembled Vaishnavas. Evam Shuraganan Krudho Evam Suraganan Krudho Vishayan Vapusharipun Vishayan Vapusharipun Vyandat Sumaha Prano Vyandachru Mahaprano Yena Loka Vichetasa Yena Loka Vichetasa Evam Suraganan Krudho Vishayan Vapusharipun Vyandachru Mahaprano Yena Loka Vichetasa. Please repeat. Evam Suraganan Krudho Vishayan Vapusharipun Mahaprano Yena Loka Vichedasaha Suraganan Krudho Vipushar Vyanadatsu Mahaprano Yena Loka Vichetasa Evam thus Suraganan the demigods Krudha being very angry Vishayan terrifying Vapusha by his body Ripun, his enemies. Vyandat roared. Shu Mahaprana, the most powerful Vitrasura. Yena, by which Loka, all people, Vichetasa, unconscious. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shukadev Goswami said, Vitrashura, the angry and most powerful hero, terrified the demigods with his stout and strongly built body. When he roared with a resounding voice, nearly all living entities fainted. Tena devagana sarve vita vishpo hata nena vai nipetur murichita bhumo yatai vasani va hata. When all the demigods heard Vritrasura's tumultuous roar, which resembled that of a lion, they fainted and fell to the ground as if struck by thunderbolts. As the demigods closed their eyes in fear, Vritrasura had taken up his trident and, making the earth tremble with his great strength, trampled the demigods beneath his feet on the battlefield, the way a mad elephant tramples hollow bamboos in the forest. Seeing Vritrasura's disposition, Indra, the king of heaven, became intolerant and threw at him one of his great clubs, which are extremely difficult to counteract. As the club flew towards him, Vritrasura easily cut with his left hand. O King Parikshit, the powerful Vritrasura, the enemy of King Indra, angrily struck the head of Indra's elephant with that club, making a tumultuous sound on the battlefield. For this heroic deed, the soldiers on both sides glorified him. Struck with the club by Vritrasura like a mountain struck by a thunderbolt, the elephant Airavata, feeling great pain and spitting blood from its broken mouth, pushed back 14 yards in great distress. The elephant fell with Indra on its back. When he saw Indra's carrier elephant thus fatigued and injured, and when he saw Indra morose because his carrier had been harmed in that way, the great soul Vritrasura, following religious principles, refrained from again striking Indra with the club. Taking this opportunity, Indra touched the elephant with his nectar-producing hand, thus relieving the animal's pain and curing its injuries. Then the elephant and Indra both stood silently. O king, when the great hero Vritrasura saw his enemy, the killer of his brother, standing before him with a thunderbolt in his hand, desiring to fight, Vritrasura remembered how Indra had cruelly killed his brother. Thinking of Indra's sinful activities, he became mad with lamentation and forgetfulness. Laughing sarcastically, he spoke as follows. Sri Vritrasura said, He who has killed a Brahmana, he who has killed his spiritual master, indeed, he who has killed my brother, is now, by good fortune, standing before me face to face as my enemy, O most abominable one. When I pierce your stone-like heart with my trident, I shall be freed from my debt to my brother. Only for the sake of living in the heavenly planets, you killed my elder brother, a self-realized, sinless, qualified Brahmana who had been appointed your chief priest. How he was your spiritual master, but although you entrusted him with the performance of your sacrifice, you later mercilessly severed his head from his body the way one butchers an animal. Indra, you are bereft of all shame, mercy, glory, and good fortune. Deprived of these qualities by the reactions of your fruitive activities, you are to be condemned even by the man-eaters, Rakshasas. Now I shall pierce your body with my trident, and after you die with great pain, even fire will not touch you. Only vultures will eat your body. You are naturally cruel. If the other demigods, unaware of my prowess, follow you by attacking me with raised weapons, I shall sever their heads with this sharp trident. With those heads, I shall perform a sacrifice to Bhairava and the other leaders of ghosts along with their hordes. Om Agnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Milatam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Shivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Prajana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namoste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shite Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prasharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Destarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Kartivashalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. Before I begin to speak about the verses that we just read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, I'd like to seek the blessings of all the assembled Vaishnavas present here, so that I may speak something bona fide. We can see in this pastime that the demigods are very in agony and very much in pain because they're facing an opponent which is very much powerful than they can be. And this reason is due to the empowerment given to Vritrasura by Krishna himself. In the Brahma Samhita, the Brahma recites a verse which says, Bhashvan yatamsha sakalesha nidesha teja swiyam kiyat prakatadya bhidatvadatra brahmaya esha jagadanda vidhanakarta govinda madhi purusham tamaham bhajami. Basically, just like how the sun invests its particular potencies in different jewels, like that of a Shamantaka jewel or different jewels, Krishna invests a certain particular power in a particular entity to perform a particular activity. So similarly, in order to perform his pastime of Krishna showing how great his devotees actually are, Krishna has empowered Vritrasura to be so powerful that even Indra, in these great weapons which can tear down mountains, which are feared by the greatest of the greatest demons, was simply held by Vritrasura's left hand and thrown away. This is a typical example of those conditioned living entities always trying to take security among that you can't take security from. And in the second canto, Shukadeva Goswami says that people think that they can take shelter of their family. Then you can take shelter of your bank balance. You can take shelter of your relatives. You can take shelter of your house, of your country. But unfortunately, no. We see that many people, I'm running 5 miles a day. I'm so strong. Can I be protected from that? No, sir, you can't. People think, I have so much money. Can that protect me from death? No, it cannot. Nothing can protect you from death, because ultimately, Krishna is Mutya Sarva Harashaham. Krishna comes and takes everything away. And all of this, Indra's current situation that he is in is all born out of pride. Indra's pride that, he's a king of heaven. Without even considering how sinful of a deed it was, he simply cut off the 3 heads of Vritrasura's older brother. And that pride itself got him to reap so many sinful activities. We can see that Prabhupada writes in the purport of the first canto, first chapter, first verse, he writes that, when usually people approach religion because they want some sort of material gain from it. But when you approach religion and you see that you cannot get any material gain from it, there's no need for you to go there. So similarly, once Indra got what he got from his priest, he simply killed his priest, and that was it for him. He got his heavenly planets. Similarly, we see when pride, especially nowadays, we see so much pride in human society. Pride about being able to manipulate a few toys, a few machines that they have. All this pride is coming, and then with that same pride, they feel they're so much superior to everyone else that they simply kill so many thousands of animals, millions of animals on a daily basis. Why? It's all coming from the deep-rooted pride. Like he said, there you go. Indra, you're bereft of all shame, mercy, glory, and good fortune. Because Indra was bereft of mercy, he actually killed, this great priest that they had, and who replaced the spiritual master. Among all the aparadhas that one can commit, Vaishnava aparadha and Guru aparadha are heaviest. Guru aparadha, especially because the word Guru means heavy. So when you commit a Guru aparadha, that the aparadha itself is so heavy that the reactions you get for it is also heavy, because that's the meaning of the word guru. It's not lagu. Lagu means light, guru means heavy. So committing these offenses, Indra has to undergo so many reactions for it. I want to also read the next verse, which has the purport. I just thought I'd speak a little bit about these previous verses because they speak about a different subject matter. Text 18. But if in this battle you cut off my head with your thunderbolt and kill my soldiers, O Indra, O great hero, I shall take great pleasure in offering my body to the other living entities such as jackals and vultures, and I shall thus be relieved of my obligation to the reactions of my karma, and my fortune will be to receive the dust from the lotus feet of great devotees like Narada Muni. Purport. Sri Narottam Das Thakur says, Echai Gosani Yara Muitara Dasa Tansabara Padarenu Mora Panchagrasa. I am the servant of the 6 Goswamis, and the dust of their lotus feet provides my 5 kinds of food. A Vaishnava always desires the dust of the lotus feet of the Acharyas and Vaishnavas. Vritrasura was certain that he would be killed in the battle with Indra because this was a desire of Lord Vishnu. He was prepared for death because he knew that after his death, he was destined to return back home, back to Godhead. This is a great destination. It is achieved by the grace of a Vaishnava. Chariya Vaishnava Seva Nishtar Payachekeva. No one has ever gone back to Godhead without being favored by a Vaishnava. In this verse, therefore, we find the words Manishvinam Pada Raja Prapatye. I shall receive the dust of the lotus feet of the great devotee. The word Manasvinam refers to great devotees who think of Krishna, and they are always peaceful thinking of Krishna. Therefore, they are called Dhira. The best example of such a devotee is Narada Muni. If one receives the dust of the lotus feet of a Manasvi, a great devotee, he certainly returns home back to Godhead. So in the song we sing every day, in Sri Guru Vandana, we sing Ha Ha Prabhu Koradayo Deho More Padachaya. We want the shade of the lotus feet of great devotees like Srila Prabhupada, who's in the line of Narada Muni. Because these devotees actually know Krishna. If you actually want to get to know Krishna, you can't go up to Krishna. If you were placed right now in front of Krishna, you wouldn't know what to do. But your spiritual master can actually take your hand and show you what you can do with Krishna, how you can serve Krishna. The only reason you serve Krishna actually is because it gives pleasure to your spiritual master, because ultimately that gives you the highest happiness, because when you follow the instructions of your spiritual master, then only you can actually attain the highest goals of life. Shri Guru Charne Rati Aise Uttamagati E Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. To have Rati for Shri Guru's lotus feet, which means to have Rati, to means have attachment, have full love for the instructions emanating from the Guru Vani. That is real love. You know, once in following Srila Prabhupada, I saw once Prabhupada's disciple asked him, Prabhupada, what does it mean to love your spiritual master? How do you show love for your spiritual master? And he thought, Prabhupada would say, by doing this or by thinking about him or this and. But he says, real love for your spiritual master means keeping your initiation vows. When you keep your initiation vows, you promise in front of the sacred fire, in front of the Vaishnavas, in front of the deities. You made and in front of your spiritual master that you'll follow these regulative principles, that you'll chant these so many rounds. By following this and doing this every day, that shows a certain amount of commitment for your spiritual master, shows a certain amount of commitment for Guru Vani. So when Prabhupada asked him that, he told them that struck this person a lot, because like we can see in the future years, since when this devotee asked Prabhupada that question, so many could not follow, so many could not stick to the principles of the spiritual master, because the spiritual master is undergoing great risk for the disciple and making sure he's taking all the burden of the disciple's karma. But the spiritual master's instructions, the vows you take in front of the spiritual master, that's actually what is required for you to go back home, back to Godhead. After Ebeja Shushuk Bhavana, there's a few other verses in the bhajan. And then it says Ebejaj Kushukti Bhavana, then it says Vaishnava Charana Renu Bhushana Kariyatanu. It means one must decorate his body by the dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas. And by doing so, Yaha Haite Anubhava Haya. It means that once you decorate your body with the dust from the lotus feet of a Vaishnava, then you can actually experience, you can have anubhava of the highest ecstasies of Krishna consciousness. Because that dust, because actually, you may externally think that the Vaishnava is walking on this planet, but actually a Vaishnava who's in full consciousness of Krishna, he is not actually walking on this planet, although it may appear externally that he's doing so. He's every step, pade pade, at every step that he's walking, he's actually fully walking in Vrindavan. So wherever the Vaishnava is walking, because his consciousness is fully absorbed in the eternal pastimes of Krishna. So then you'll know that this personality is fully surrendered to Krishna. He's always thinking about Krishna. You are where your mind is, actually. You can physically be here, but wherever your mind is, that's where you actually are. So if one person is actually fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness and they're in Vrindavan, they're in the pastimes of Krishna, then their dust, that's why the dust is so valuable. That's why the dust from the lotus feet is so valuable. In the 11th canto, Krishna tells Uddhava that actually, when my devotee is walking in front of him, even the dust from his feet is so valuable because I'm actually standing behind him. And as the wind blows, the dust from my feet goes and touches the dust from his feet, and that dust goes and falls in front of the Vaishnava's feet. So that's the value of a Vaishnava, because he's so much absorbed in Krishna, and they're both non-separable from each other. And then the next verse, the next two lines in that bhajan, Narottam Das Thakur says, Marjana hoya bhajana. He says, Marjana hoya bhajana. Sadhu Sange Anukrama. He says that when you're associating with these sadhus, when you're fully taking the dust from the lotus feet, your bhajana is fully cleansed, and you can actually chant the holy names of Krishna. You can actually feel the presence of Krishna in your heart. When you feel the presence of Krishna in your heart, when you're worshipping Krishna, when you're worshipping the Vaishnavas, you can feel the presence of them in your heart. And just by a small association of anukshana, sadhu sangha anukshana, by a small amount of association with the Vaishnavas, then you can actually have you can have association of Krishna eventually. That depends on how sincerely you follow. You must be sincere, and you must also be strict. When you're sincere and strict, then you'll actually have association of Vaishnavas, and you'll actually have association of Krishna. Then he says, avidya agnana parajaya. Then by doing so, you'll actually be able to conquer avidya and agnana. You'll be able to conquer ignorance, and you'll also be able to conquer your lack of knowledge also, which are basically the same words. But he says, but we can actually conquer all of this because when you hear from the Vaishnava, it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Shushusho Shaddathanyasya Vasudeva Katarashi Shan Mahasevaya Vipra Punyatirtha Nishevanat. When you actually come and you hear from the Vaishnava, when you hear him when you come and you serve the Vaishnava, you serve him, you make sure whatever the Vaishnava says you do, you follow his instructions properly, then you will actually be able to get Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. You can get Ruchi for Vasudeva Katha, which means you can get taste for hearing Krishna Katha. And by hearing Krishna Katha, that's the cure for all the material diseases. Shinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hridayantasya Badrani Vidunoti Suhit Satam. When you hear the pastimes of Krishna, all that is not desirable in your heart is immediately vanquished. You can vanquish it with the sword of transcendental knowledge. He says, Bhidyate hridayagrantish shindyante sarvasamshaya kshiyante chasya karmani dishta evatmanishvare. Who would not be willing to hear this great message of Vasudeva? Just by hearing this, all the dirty things in your heart are immediately vanquished. That's the power of the Krishna Katha emanating from the Vaishnava. And then, and how do you know? How do you know who's a Vaishnava so dear to Krishna? How do you know? One of the things that the sages in Naimisharanya tell Suta Goswami when they first see him, they tell him, Vetatvam somyatat sarvam tatvatastad anugrahat bruyush snigdasi shishyasha gruvo guhyam apyuta. Because you're submissive, you're spiritual, and you have the qualities of a gentle disciple, your spiritual master has actually bestowed upon you all the great secrets of the transcendental science. Just by being submissive and fully listening to your spiritual master. Real humility means being the dust of the lotus feet of your guru. That's real humility. Hanuman was fully in his humble position when he was burning Lanka down. Hanuman was fully in his humble position. There was not one trace of pride. Why? Because he's doing it on the behalf of his master. That's real humility. Real humility doesn't mean, we be humble in front of the karmis while they're blaspheming at literatures, or we compromise. We should not. Real humility means uncompromisingly presenting the message of the absolute truth. That's being uncompromised. And when we follow, if you look at the examples of the acharyas, when we look at the example of Prabhupada, Prabhupada was uncompromising in his presentation of Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. When he was presenting the Bhagavad Tattva, when he was representing Tattva of Bhagavan, he was uncompromising. He never, ever, adjusted. Prabhupada could have easily come here and said, oh, wow, it's the time of the Korean War, Vietnam War. So yeah, don't fight, be peace and love. But no, Prabhupada said, you elected the government, you go for the war. Prabhupada could have easily said, okay, hippie movement, fine, you can have illicit sex, no problem, just chant Hare Krishna. You can take acid, LSD, you'll get high realization. But no, Prabhupada didn't do that. Prabhupada didn't compromise. Because he was so uncompromising, he says, Prabhupada himself says, because he's uncompromisingly and just uncompromisingly presented the message of the acharyas, presented the message of Bhakti Siddhanta, he became who he was. It was revealed to us who we were. I was reading Servant of the Servant by His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj last night, and in that he says that the spiritual master is pleased upon the disciple when he dovetails his desires to that of the spiritual master. And by doing so, slowly and gradually, the spiritual master bestows upon the disciple the responsibility of the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just like how a father sees that his son, as they get more and more responsible, slowly and gradually gives them the responsibility of the business, the spiritual master also gives upon the business of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement upon the disciple who's strictly and sincerely following. And who's a better example than Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who very to the T followed Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada could be as heavy with him as he wanted, and no matter what, he got the job done for Srila Prabhupada. These are examples of Vaishnavas who are in the line of Narada Muni. When we strictly follow the mission of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan, that should be our ecstasy. Our greatest ecstasy should be to face difficulties in fulfilling the orders of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and fulfilling the orders of Srila Prabhupada. No matter how hard it is, you just have to push yourself, and then you have to make sure Mahaprabhu's mission is coming to fulfillment, to fructification. And it may not seem, externally it may not seem that, where are the results? Why isn't everyone becoming a pure devotee yet? It's just going to take some time. If you want to make a particular dish, if you want to make halwa, you can have milk, you can have semolina, you can have sugar, you can have water, and you can keep all of it in a pot. But one of the ingredients also is time. It takes time. When you water a plant in the tree, it's not the tree's fault, it's not the plant's fault that the fruit comes out late. That's the process. It takes time. We just go and we sow the seeds of Lord Chaitanya. So what if we're not here to see the glory of the Sankirtan movement taking over the world? So what? We must sacrifice ourselves for this movement. That's the reason Prabhupada came. Prabhupada sacrificed everything he had for the movement of Lord Chaitanya. Everything. We just saw how Dadishi Muni, just for the sake of the pleasure of Vishnu, sacrificed his bones, sacrificed his body, sacrificed everything. Why? For the pleasure of Vishnu. We must also sacrifice everything for the pleasure of Vishnu. We must sacrifice everything for the pleasure of Lord Chaitanya. We must not, concoct. We must not concoct different things. We must just follow as it is. Just when we follow as it is, then you'll get full empowerment. What's that verse? Yatha yavahito vane darishveka swayonishu naneva bhati vishvatma kalpante yena taniha. Just by fire is already in the wood. Just by coming in touch with fire, fire comes out. Even the super soul is already in the heart of every living entity. Super soul is already present. So by coming in touch with the divine fire of the spiritual master's instructions, then you will also become fire. When you keep iron in the fire, eventually iron itself becomes fire. Just by doing that, then you'll actually be able to fully absorb yourself in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. We are in the line of Lord Nityananda. We have come to go and spread Gauranga consciousness, Krishna consciousness all over the world. That's our line. That's what the Vaishnavas want. Narada Muni himself would come to see Prabhupada when he was doing his programs. Once Prabhupada was giving a big program in an auditorium, and then no one was coming, but they were still doing kirtan. And then all of a sudden Prabhupada started singing Narada Muni Bajaya Veena. That's a bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then it was really ecstatic. All the devotees who were there, they said it was so ecstatic. And then, I think Yamuna Devi, she asked Prabhupada, why do you start singing that bhajan all of a sudden? He said, what? Didn't you see? Narada Muni came. Narada Muni came to see how that line of the Bhaktisiddhanta Vani was being preached, because that's the line that he is coming from. That's Narada Muni's duty. He goes around and spreads Krishna consciousness all over the world. So getting the dust from these lotus feet of the Vaishnavas doesn't actually mean going up to their feet and taking the dust and putting it on your head. Taking the dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas means making Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Akhya. That's what it actually means. Real humility, real taking the dust from the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas means that. Yasya deve para bhakta yata deve tataguru tasya te prataya harta prakashante mahatmana. By having full faith in the instruction of the spiritual master and doing and Krishna, and doing service to him, all the purport of the Shastra is revealed to a person who does that. Tasmad ekena manasa bhagavan sattva-tampati shrotavya kirtitavya deya pujashinatida. We must single-pointedly focus our attention upon constantly hearing and thinking about Krishna. And the way we can do that, being Kali Yuga rejects, the way we can do that is by constantly being burnt in the fire of Sankirtan. Let's take, we're absolutely unqualified. What qualification do we have? I mean, at least what qualification do most of us have? What do we have? We don't have anything. We just Kali Yuga reject. Prayan alpayusha shabdhya kalavasman yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagya hupadrita. In this age of Kali, we have no good qualities. But the only thing we can do is we can just simply go and present everything as it is. Once disciples asked Prabhupada, every morning we're singing Nikunja Ratikeli Siddhaya Yayali Bir Yuktir Apekshaniya Tatrati Dakshad Ati Vallabhasya Vande Guru Shri Sharanarvindam. Why are we singing this, Srila Prabhupada? And one of the translation also is because there were many Sanskrit scholars like Pradyumna Prabhu, Hridayananda Maharaj, Gopi Prandan Prabhu, because they were associating. One of the way it could be translated also is that by the spiritual master engaging his disciples, is he like how is this related to the Nitya Leela of Krishna when we go out and distribute books? How is it related to the eternal passion of Krishna? Prabhupada says yes. When you go and distribute books, you're actually telling people about Krishna, actually informing people about Krishna, and that's increasing their pleasure. Ultimately, being in the line of Bhakti Siddhanta, being Gaudiya Vaishnavas, our main. Ultimately, on the ultimate and absolute scale, our main duty is to give pleasure to Srimati Radharani. And Srimati Radharani is the most merciful personality in the entire creation. And her only desire is to increase the enjoyment of Krishna. In a purport in the 7th canto, Srila Prabhupada says, Krishna is unlimited. Krishna is unlimited. So his service is also unlimited. So the amount of servants he can have are also unlimited. So because Krishna is unlimited, we can unlimitedly give him conditioned souls to become pure devotees and give that to Krishna for his enjoyment. That's our line. That's what Prabhupada came to give. Prabhupada could have very easily sat in Vrindavan and chanted and then gone back to Godhead, because he's always in Godhead. When he chants the holy name of Krishna, he's always in Godhead. That's what Prabhupada was always like that. So he just got Vrindavan to us. In the first canto, there's a verse, first canto, first chapter, there's a verse which says, just by coming in touch with great personalities like you, O Suta, one is immediately purified. But even if you bathe, only after bathing repeatedly in the Ganges water, only then will someone get purification. What are our chances to come for this movement? What are the chances for us to be so closely associated with Srila Prabhupada and his mission? What are the chances? But somehow, Bhagavan Jeev, a great magnanimous personality might be chanting the holy names in a particular place, and that holy name can enter your heart, and that could be your bhagya, that could be your good fortune. And just by hearing that, you can fully dedicate yourself to the movement of Lord Chaitanya. And one other verse which comes to my mind when we hear this great inspiration about serving Narada Muni is, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma. When you're serving the spiritual master, you'll have this Kevala Bhakti will actually be produced in your heart just by serving the spiritual master, sticking to his instructions tightly. If you just hold on to the instructions of your spiritual master by the skin of your teeth, if you hold on to it as the rope for your dear life, then you'll actually be pulled back to Godhead. Recently we're reading about Daksha. Daksha means expert, right? Prajapati, he was expert at producing praja. Even in this verse, Nikunja, Ratikeli Siddhyai, the Tatrati Daksha, the spiritual master, is very expert in pulling the disciple outside the dark well of ignorance. That's a spiritual master. He very expertly pulls the disciple out because he knows exactly what's needed in order for the disciple to be pulled out of this ocean of nations. In almost every Srimad Bhagavatam class I give, I say this verse, but I really like it. In the purport of this 3rd canto, 11th chapter, Prabhupada writes that this material world is an ocean of misery comprised of the tears of the fallen conditioned souls. Isn't that sad? This material world is an ocean of misery comprised of the tears of the fallen conditioned soul. There's only suffering in this material world, only suffering. That's why the spiritual master comes, Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajanara Bandhu. The spiritual master is an ocean of mercy, ocean of nectar, ocean of divine love for Radha and Krishna. That's the spiritual master. That's the nectar. Yashodhara Prabhu was speaking about us diving in this ocean of nectar. That even one drop from that ocean can flood the entire material universe. Even one drop, one single drop can flood the entire material universe. So what to speak about drowning ourselves in that ocean of nectar, the spiritual master comes. We sing every morning, Samsara Dava, Nalli, the Loka, Thanaya Karanya, Ganaganatvam. We were getting fried in this ocean of material existence. But then the spiritual master comes like a rain cloud and showers that mercy upon this forest fire of material existence and actually delivers us. And it helps us go there. And how does he do that? Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita. He basically soaks up all this divine love. He's a cloud. He soaks it up from the ocean of Radha Krishna's love for each other, from the ocean of Mahaprabhu's love. He soaks it up, and then he comes and he pours it down as Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita. He just sits and he does kirtan about Krishna. And then by doing so, then by playing instruments, he actually extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death by pushing on the Sankirtan movement. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. That is the motto of the Gaudiya Math, Bhakti Siddhanta said. Bhakti Siddhanta said, the motto of this Gaudiya Math is Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So we must go, we must as representatives of Lord Chaitanya, we must go and preach this message of Lord Chaitanya unmotivated in an uninterrupted fashion without diluting it. That will be our real glory. We're reading about dying a glorious death in the recent past. What more glorious thing can be than to die on the battlefield? That's the most glory. Srila Prabhupada actually once said to his disciples that if you simply keep distributing my books, one day you'll just see Krishna Balaram walking down the street. That's something to look forward to. And that's the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. Nitaya Chanera Satya Tanhara Sevaka Nitya Nitaya Pada Sadakaravasha. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are real. They're not illusion. They're a fact. The lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are real. So, and those who follow the instructions of Lord Nityananda, they're also transcendental. They're also real. Real means real reality. Real means transcendental reality. Those devotees who are following in the mood of Lord Nityananda and doing prema pracharana, preaching about prema, and pashanda dhalana, which means to destroy the atheism, destroy anything against pure Krishna consciousness. Those who are following this, then they actually get to experience the highest level of experience, much more than you can ever experience. That's what it means to be in the line of great devotees like Narada Muni. Taking the dust from the lotus feet means fully surrendering ourselves to the mission that these great devotees want, because ultimately we're aiming in Madhurya. Krishna's pastimes are Madhurya, they're sweet, but the different side of the same golden coin is Audarya, which means magnanimity. So just by taking shelter of this process, taking shelter from the Vaishnavas, by hearing about them, you'll get Vasudeva Kataruchi, and then you can go and distribute it to others. That'll be the great success. That'll be the great glory of our human life. If we could just burn this body in the fire of Sankirtan, that'll be the greatest achievement for anyone. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to see if there's any questions or comments or protests. Yeah. Yes, Monty.
Say that verse again in the 11th canto.
Which one?
About the tears of the.
Oh, that's from the
that
third canto. Third canto. So it's in third canto. 11. I could send it to you, but it says that this material world is an ocean of misery comprised of the tears of fallen conditioned souls. Prabhupada writes that in the purport. He writes, something similar. It's like a poetic rendition that Jai Jagannath Prabhu once said in his class that has stuck with me for a long time. Yeah.
Something to be said for serving the spiritual master. But of course, we know Lord Chaitanya explained, if you say you're my devotee, nah, you're not really my devotee. But if you say you're the servant of my devotee, then I accept that. So das anudas. We want to become the servants of the spiritual master. And that attitude of like, just, I was just thinking, our godbrother, my nephew really, Das, is coming.
Who?
Dasarat from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And, people have agendas, We were traveling on Sankirtan for a month, and we stopped at a Columbus Temple for the Sunday feast. And my agenda was, I'm going to go in there and take prasad.
Right.
And I sat down there, and I noticed, Das is serving prasad. Okay. And then he was serving the people who were serving prasadam. And then while I'm sitting there eating, he's cleaning the floor. And then he's sweeping the floor. Then he's mopping the floor. Then I saw him. He was in the kitchen washing the pots. I was like, God. He had an agenda. Let me go to the temple and do some service, And it wasn't like ostentatious or anything. It was just like so happy. I couldn't even tear myself away from that prasadam plate, I was so embarrassed, to think, wow, yeah, we have that agenda of being the servant of the servant. It's very sweet and more satisfying than anything, and that's what's recommended in pleasing to Krishna, as far as I know.
Jai.
All glories to Prabhupada.
Jai. I also forgot to make another point here. Prabhupada, quotes this bhajan where, Narottam Das Thakur says, all these 6 Goswamis, I'm their servant. And the dust from the lotus feet are my 5 kinds of foodstuffs. And also in the same bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur in Guru Vandana, the 6th verse, the first line is Jai Sanatana Rupa Prema Bhakti Rasa Kupa. The Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami are the great fountains of love for Radha Krishna. So by following their mission, by being Rupa Nugas, we can also experience what they want us to experience, because ultimately that's the greatest happiness of Vaishnavas, is to push us forward to associate with Krishna, to experience the highest Ananda Chinmaya Rasa. Are there any more questions or comments? Krishna is definitely wonderful. Yes, Mataji.
I just thought it was interesting to note that Indra, who's the king of the demigods, is the one who's making the offenses, and then the so-called Vitrasura, the demon Rakshasha, is rectifying that. So it says in this Kali Yuga we have both demon and devotee inside of us. So to really recognize, what parts of us, like we might think, mode of goodness, I'm a demigod, I'm doing such good things, but the pride just like totally nullifies all that. And then we may have some qualities that are not so nice, but they may be able to be used in Krishna's service also. So it's like how we use what we have, it's the mentality with which we use what we have, not what it is that we are. Not that I'm a demigod and therefore I'm the best, and I'm a demon, therefore I'm the worst, but what is the mentality, and what are we using our body and mind for? So
I was hearing a lecture of Prabhupada this morning, and he was speaking of the Kami India Prichi words, basically, which means lust means to satisfy your own senses, and love means to satisfy the senses of Krishna. So I was thinking, if you're a demigod or a demon, as you're doing your duty to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we can see that he was doing his duty as a demon. His duty was the whole reason he was summoned from that fire by Twishta was in order for him to basically take the demigods down. So he was performing his duty of taking the demigods down and killing devotees, like mixed devotees. He was killing them. Like demigods are mixed devotees, so he was killing the mixed devotees. But ultimately, he was doing it as his duty, as a pastime. Even we can see in the Mahabharata, or even we can see that Bhishma Dev saw that Draupadi was being disrobed, and he's a pure devotee of Krishna. Why didn't he even raise a finger? They do so for the pastimes of the Lord to manifest. Anyway, Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Thank you.